through every season, through thick and thin, Joke has been steady, dependable, trustworthy, and always elegant in her own way, like we saw. Living out her personal motto, KISS, keep it simple and stylish. Now, in some of my hardest seasons, when I didn't have the right words or the right strength, Joke didn't try to fix anything. She simply showed up, calm, grounded, and fully present. Joke's love is a little quiet check-in. She'll just call you on the phone and say, "Show what?" Which literally means, "Do you exist?" And suddenly, you take a breath, you pause, you reflect. Do I exist? And then you do a self-check. And that kind of love changes you. It stays with you, right? We love her, we learn from her, we are better because of her. And Unmute Yourself is her love in a book. It is honest, gentle, and powerful. It encourages without shouting, it heals without heaviness, and empowers without pressure. I've read it 3 times. It's the kind of book you finish and you immediately think, I know someone who needs this. And then you find yourself wanting to talk about it. I've talked your ear off about it. With a friend, a sister, or your book club. Because this is a book you're meant to read, and then it's meant to be shared. And now, to continue honoring the woman behind these words, I'd like to call up a sister friend who has walked alongside Adejoke and has shared life with her, including professionally, as a fellow entrepreneur. So with that, please join me in welcoming Priska.
I'm sorry. Thanks a lot, Bola. She wants her speech to be the best. Okay. All right, so Joke has been on a journey of making her mark in this world with quiet confidence. Not loud, not performative, but steady, intentional, and deeply rooted in who she is. She does not rush the room. She's grounded. When Joke is present, something shifts. Voices soften. The pace slows. People listen more closely. That is her gift. She brings calm without asking for it. Whenever I ask Joke, "How are you?" her response always is, "I'm living my best life." And every time she says it, I actually pause. Not because life has been easy for her, it hasn't. But because she has mastered something many of us are still learning, how to choose joy, meaning, and presence, even when life is imperfect. That same courage lives in the pages of her book, Unmute Yourself, and even more powerfully in the subtitle, Dear 25-year-old me, silence is no longer an option. Those words carry truth, healing, and permission. So it's permission to speak, permission to be seen, and permission to take up space without an apology. So if you don't know Joke well, but tonight actually you get to know her. And I believe this book is not just her story. It's an invitation to all of us to unmute ourselves, to be on that journey. So please join me and welcoming and celebrating my sister, the reason we are here tonight, Joke Durijayo.
I called, you answered. Thank you for honoring me with your time. I got my makeup done, so we can't cry, but I'm already going into the early cry, and it's only like less than 1 minute. I look in this room and I see I see 30 plus years of friendship. I see my family. Shout out to my daughter. Where is Abby? The bookseller. You guys are coming later. That is like my amazing middle child. She's a freshman at UW this year. And yes, so I'm already going to the only cry. Thank you, Didi. And shout out to my firstborn child, Moshope, who is not here with us today because she's based in Florence, Italy, where she's currently living. What she's watching online, along with Eli, who is home with Dad. They're all watching online because this crowd thing is not his thing. He's probably locked up by now because like short attention span child. But anyway, thank you all for coming and for honoring me with your time. And I want to say that even for my family from in England, in Nigeria, they are all joining, they're watching because they can't be here, but I want everybody to partake of this. And my mom used to say something, people are my covering. And people truly are my covering. You are all my covering, and I thank you for covering me. And I look at this room, I see my sisters from another mother. I do not have a blood sister, but I have plenty. And I see my friends, I see my colleagues. I shout out to my friends from out of town. And my BFF Ariella, Dr. Dada, she's supposed to be in Hawaii, laying on the beach, but she flew in. She caught her vacation shot to be here. Truly, I am honored that you all will come out for me. I know there are times in our lives where we feel like, who am I to do this? And it is going to be ongoing. Life, even sending out an invitation and expecting 100 people, like, do you think you are? Nobody's going to come. So thank you for proving me wrong. I'm going to do the rest of this because I've written down a few things that I want to say. So it was important for me to, this moment, to start this year on purpose, with intention. Because 2025 was a year and a half for me. And it started fast and furious. By spring, I had already lived a full year. We came home barely from the hospital after Eli was in there for a serious study. We were in the hospital for 7 days of a study. On day 4, I got news that my sister-in-law passed away. She was only 46. Went to bed, did not wake up. That I was still dealing with PET scans and a plethora of tests and things. I didn't have the energy to process it. I had nothing to give it to it. So I put it in an imaginary box and I put it on a shelf, like we all do. But the thing is, the shelf was there and I could still see it, but I couldn't bring myself to open it to process it. We got through that. And then after the funeral, I decided, you know what, I'm going to take myself out on a retreat. And my dear Catherine there was there with me. I was halfway across the Indian Ocean, trying to recenter myself, find myself again. I was trying to make sense of everything and get myself back in alignment. I booked a 7-day retreat for myself. Remember, 7 days in the hospital, 7 days in Bali. On day 4, guess what happens? God has a twisted sense of humor, because that's where I got news on day 4 that my mother had passed away, while I was in the middle of paradise, trying to live my best life. How do you carry that? How do you get through stuff like that? That is why I keep going back to my covering, my people. My friends held me up. They prayed us up. I didn't know how to pray anymore. I was mad at God. And when I'm mad, I write. I write to Him. I write to everybody. I just write. So writing has always been my therapy. I wrote about it in my book. I got that gift from my dad. Taught me how to type on the typewriter. The typewriter is out there. My brother just sent it to me from Nigeria. So you can take a look at history. I used to sit on my dad's lap learning to type. I grew up typing, and he typed many letters that nobody was reading. So, writing and support became my therapy that got me through that period. I didn't even start out trying to write a book. That book wrote itself from lived experiences. Because when somebody passes away, and I'm sure we've all lost somebody, they tell you, hold on to the memories. But nobody tells you how those memories show up. For me, it was a flood. It was a big wave that kept washing over me and wouldn't stop. So I did what I know to do best. Picked up my pen, actually my typewriter, my computer, because I don't write anymore, nobody does. I still do write some, but I started to write. And I started to find myself. I was going way back to places that I didn't even want to go to. That was what kept me anchored, and that's what kept me going. While we were in the hospital with Eli, I called on my friends and said, look here, y'all need to pray for your son, because I'm tired. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to pray. And we formed a prayer group. And part of my writing was updates to the prayer group of what's happening. It kept me in check. My house was always filled with food, somehow. Too much food that anybody could eat because they would never stop. So, I just want to offer that life is always going to be 50-50. And sometimes the two 50s will overlap. In the middle of the Indian Ocean, enjoying my best life in Bali, experiencing grief. And we have to continue living our best lives, regardless of what's going on. Yes, we must grieve, but we also must live in the middle of grief. We have to find ourselves. And the thing is, we need to also be able to reach out. People want to help more than you know, but you have to ask. I am lucky that I don't even have to. They just give me a wink and they know exactly what to do. Those are the kinds of friends that I have, and I'm blessed, and I'm thankful, and I do not take it for granted. But in order to have those kinds of friends, you also must be that kind of friend. So we all must commit to being there for one another. I see in this room my friends, immigrants, my friends, Americans. We're all in one room. We're all celebrating life. And it occurred to me only recently that in my 53 years on earth, I've never thrown a party for myself. So this is my party, and thank you. So just enjoy. We're going to be signing the books later. I think we're going to sit down here for a minute.
We are.
Okay. So tell me what's next. Come here, Nicole. Come here. This girl right here. She's my personal person. She knows all when the boys are married. And she will bring a shovel when I need it. She never asks questions. Why do I need you? And she puts all of this together with her team.
I have to come up front too when I bring the shovels. Awesome. Well, with that, I would like to welcome Dr. Arinola Dada and Hulu to the stage for our interview session.
Hello, everybody. Excited. I'm so proud of my dear friend, Adejoke. And so we're just going to Tolu, so my name is Arinola Dada, and Tolu and I are going to go back and forth asking her some well thought out questions about her book. No, it's fantastic. I've read that book. I read it on the beach. I read it on the plane. It's amazing. So thank you for sharing this. So we're going to get right to it because now I'm in my cover. So thank you so much, Joke, for sharing an intimate book with the world. Unmute yourself. Dear 25-year-old me, silence is no longer an option. Your daughter, Abby, asked, why choose to speak to your 25-year-old self? And I loved your response in the book. Can you tell us more about why that age was so significant to you?
Yeah, like I said in that book, it is a half-life where you get to a point and you feel like you know everything. But at the same time, you feel like you're still waiting for permission. And it's a time when, if you remember, think back to where you were when you were 25. You were living your best life, you know more than your mother, you know more than everybody, but at the same time, you're not really ready for the real adulting thing. I have a 24-year-old, so I know exactly what that feels like. And so it's just a reflection of, if we were to think back to all the things that we're doing now that is carrying us, if we look back to when we were afraid of those things, how differently would we show up if we knew how it was going to end? And so that's why I reflect back to who I used to be and connect it back to where I am. And it's also a point of reference. Because even in college, Abby is 19. All the things that you do and you're afraid of, if you only retrace yourself, you've been good at something. That should be your point of reference. You've done it before. My daughter, when she comes to Chopin, like, oh, she has an exam, she has anxieties. You got through that one the last time, remember? So you're going to get through this one. So I like to use 25 as a point of reference where you think back to all those things that scared you and look back and you'll be like, why was I ever scared of those things? And then the things that you want to do next, make it another point of reference. So I did that when I was 25. I'm wiser and older, I can do so much better now. So,
Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for answering my question, Nancy. And I'm also turning 25 this year, so it's very So as you reflect on that 25-year-old version of yourself, was there a specific turning point when you realized that you had muted yourself? And after you answer that, how does some, like for our audience members, how does someone know that they are muted versus unmuted?
you know, I was muted for most of my life, I would say. I was muted when I was in college, I was muted when I was in the workforce, in corporate. I would sit in meetings, I had things to say, but I didn't think that it was good enough. I didn't think it was going to help. I didn't think that anybody wanted to hear what I needed to say. But after a while, I think confidence starts coming from doing. I think we're waiting to be confident, but it doesn't come until it's a practice. It's something that you do, and then suddenly you find yourself, you don't even recognize yourself anymore. I think that's how I got where I am today. And being unmuted versus being muted, it's just when you feel like you have something to say and you don't say that thing, the man in the room will say that thing, and you'll be like, I knew that all along. Don't we all do that in meetings? Yes, so that's how you know. Somebody says what you're thinking, even though you are not bold enough to say it, and it comes to be true. It comes to be something that's helpful. And I come from not holding back anything that's going to help somebody else. If I feel like it's going to help, I'm going to share it.
Yes, that was a wonderful answer. Thank you.
I love that answer. I think there's still times, even in my old age, that I don't ask that question. Right? And I still don't ask that question. Someone else does, and I'm like, yeah, beautifully put. So, the other side of that is, what was the catalyst that made this the right moment? Right? And part two of that is, what was the hardest part of doing it now?
You read the book?
The book.
Like I said, the book pretty much wrote itself because it's from life, from lived experiences, and it was just pouring out of me non-stop because that was my own way of processing. And then at some point I thought, you know what, this could be a book. And so let me tell you something about ChatGPT. Because that thing, we became unfriended for a while because I threw my ideas, all my things, because I'm writing and I'm speaking into my notes app, and then I put it all together in Google Docs, and I'm like, darling, can you please organize this for me? And let me just say that I'm like, you're fired. And so I found myself an actual book editor to help me with it. And it's just like everything I do, I feel like things just happen with preparation. I have been writing all my life. I'm a closet writer. And so all the things that I've written just kind of started coming together, my thoughts, my memories, after my mom passed away, my sister-in-law passed, and I'm just like holding on to the memories, and they were just like flooding at me, and so it just became the right time. So I didn't plan it, I didn't start out the year wanting to write a book, just so happens.
Thank you for sharing, but can I push back at that? That book did not write itself. You know I'm going to you, my darling, talented, brilliant, sensitive, thoughtful friend, wrote this book scratch to finish. So
Okay, another question I have for you is, a lot of times in your book you emphasize that muting begins internally. What internal beliefs or fears do you see most often keeping people silent?
Yeah. So one of it is just the fear of what other people will say. And people will always have something to say. I think there's a line in the book where I said, whether you are homeless living on the streets, people will talk about you. If you're flying a private jet, they will talk about you. Why not shoot for the private jet? If there's something good to talk about. So I think it's really that's the biggest thing. Because if you think about everything that you want to do, why, and then the preparation, the analysis paralysis, we all get stuck in, oh, I want this to be fabulous before I release it. I want my hair to be right before I step in front of the camera. I want my confidence to be built up. I want to save up more money. None of those things matter. We were born with everything that we need. We only get better when we use what we have. It's the parable of the talent. You use it, it grows. But you bury it, nothing happens. And we all like to stay in that comfort zone, but nothing happens in the comfort zone. You will be very comfortable, but nothing is going to happen. So that is, those are two things that I would think of from the top of my head.
That's beautiful, thank you.
Okay.
nothing happens in the comfort zone. So, Joke, you were incredibly vulnerable throughout the book, right? So which chapter or concepts challenged you the most to write? And why did it resonate so deeply? And that you felt, and why did you feel so uncomfortable with it?
I would say that it was actually the part of my summer series when I was a child. My dad had a backyard factory where we make soap. He's an accountant, chartered accountant by day, and a soap maker by night. And we will all do this in the factory, and we will take the soap to the market. And that was, as a child, I found that embarrassing. Because there are my fabulous friends and neighbors and the rich kids seeing us pile up into our 504, going to the market. And later I started, when this flood of memories started to come, I realized that it is also because of that I am who I am today. So yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
That was a beautiful chapter. I'm going to talk about another specific chapter. The chapter called You Belong in the Room. You write on page 19, then one day something will shift. You'll stop waiting for permission. I want to know, what did that shift look like for you personally? And was it gradual, or was there like a really clear revival moment for you?
You know, I wish I could say it was very clear and light bulb. But I think that with everything that I do as well, it was me practicing for who I want to become. And then God meets me halfway. Because there are times when, there were a lot of times when I didn't think that I could do anything at all. And every single thing, like I was saying, look back to, you know, your 25-year-old self or your younger self or whoever you were, and it gives you clues to what you've been able to achieve and where you want to go. Well, guess what? I'm 26, I'm 51, I'm 52. I'm still feeling those thoughts. I'm still feeling those fears of starting, of doing. But it's just pushing through the fear anyway. Because you're always going to be afraid, no matter what you do. Like I told you, I didn't think anyone was going to come to this party. So seriously, it is pushing through the fear. Let it sit in the back seat. It's going to come along. It's not going to leave. But let it sit in the back seat and be like, I heard you, but I'm going to do it anyway.
We're into the backseat. All of you are the imposter syndrome.
Yes, everything just stay back there. You're coming for the ride, but you're not in the driver's seat.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Do it afraid.
Do it afraid. Yeah.
I had to read the "Don't Be a Gatekeeper" section multiple times. And I think in this world where social media often just shows the highlight reels, I think you and I have had conversations where somebody calls you and says, "Oh my God, Jackie, your life is just so wonderful. Oh my God, I can see everything on Facebook, on Instagram, everything's just fabulous." And you and I laugh because we were talking on the phone the night before when you were up all night, when you got up early to do the work behind what showed up as fabulous. And so in the book, you tell us that you're intentionally choosing to speak about the messy middle. Why is that so important for you to include?
You know, when we don't tell the truth behind the highlight reels, we're setting people up for failure. Because everybody says, oh, that person is making 1 million, and they tell you can make 1 million in 1 year, and you're like, yes, why am I not doing that? They are doing that, and you start to self-hate, like something is wrong with me. But they are not telling you what it takes to do those things that you're seeing on Instagram. And that's why it's important to me in my coaching. I have some of my mentees in this room that I need to tell the full story from behind the scenes. Look here, if you're going to do it, you can do it, but you're going to have to go through the messy middle of the nights that you're crying, the times that nobody's listening to you or buying what you're selling, but you have to just do it. And this is what it takes. Because somebody came to me recently, I was in a one-on-one coaching, and she was like, I've done all the things you told me to do, my branding is good, my this, da 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 da. I'm like, okay, so what you're telling me is you want to be an overnight success. Because that's not what I'm teaching you to be. You're going to have to go through it, you're going to have to do the work, and then you start to. Because when you think about all the studies in the world, how long does it take to convert a sale into an actual person that's paying you? It takes work, it takes time. But somebody has seen it on Instagram, but this person is doing it. They're showing you the picture that they took on their phone. They didn't show you what happened before they got to that. So.
Nobody wants to see all that midnight, scary look that took to develop that. But those are the things that really motivate and inspire, and that's how people, become mentors, is when they share that messy middle. Otherwise, it's like Superman. Okay, fine, you can fly, good for you. Right?
Awesome. Also, again in your book, you a lot of the times challenge traditional definitions of confidence. So how would you define confidence for someone who's not naturally outspoken? I'm definitely in that camp. I'm not super naturally outspoken. I'm early on in my career. I work at Seattle Children's. I'm usually...
She's a doctor, 25.
I'm on my way. I'm usually, when I'm in rooms, I'm the youngest in the room. I'm one of the few women. I'm a lot of times the only black person in the room. So for someone like me, how do I try and find my voice and, try and be more outspoken?
Just say it. No, seriously, if it's something that means something to you and you know that it's going to help, don't hold back. Say, what's the worst that will happen? People have heard it in their ears, they cannot unhear it. Yeah, just keep saying it. Like I said a few minutes ago, everything is about practice. And if you keep talking, if you keep using your voice, it keeps getting louder. People now pay attention. Just don't sit back and be like, okay, I don't have any. You have so much. Look at you. I'm so proud of you.
She's my second mama.
Yes, so use your voice. Even when your voice shakes, speak. Even if when your knees are wobbling, walk in the room because you belong there. And we have to start making room and making space for ourselves. And don't wait for anybody to open the door. Open it. If it doesn't work, go through the back door. Don't seriously go through the window, do whatever you need to do. Let them see you, let them hear you. And the more they see you, the more they hear you, the more they know who you are, and the more they will not mess with you.
That's a beautiful answer, thank you.
You ask such great questions.
I know, but I heard that some people are asking great questions and some people are not. You stress. Don't mind me, Auntie's a bully. You stress authenticity over perfection, right? And I think that's kind of answers to this question a little bit. It's like we're all trying to be perfect, right? So how does perfectionism, right? Because initially it sounds benign. It sounds like, well, what's wrong with wanting to be perfect before you ask your first question? But then how does that perfectionism, how does that prevent people from unmuting themselves?
Yeah. You know, it seems like this is the theme of the evening because it's the same old thing that we feel like we have nothing to offer. Or you are not where you need to be, I want to do that thing. I think I'm repeating myself because it's pretty much the same way going back to like you want to do something and you have to just think about, okay, I need this to align with this, to align with that, the stars and rainbows to come together to make it happen. It's not going to happen that way. You just have to do that thing and then you figure out, we figure it out along the way, is what I would say. So perfectionism, it holds a lot of us back, but progress over perfection, like we always say, right? Because you make progress, you make progress, you make progress. You may not even attain perfection. Some people say perfection doesn't exist. So you're waiting for something that you will never attain if you're looking for perfection. So just do the thing.
Thank you for bringing that out, but I'm going to say that perhaps one of the ways in which we allow that doubt to fester is we use different words. So you can say, oh, I want it to be perfect. Or you can say, oh, I'm scared. Or you can say, I'm too young, or I'm the only girl, or I'm minority, or we have all these things, all these words that we kind of use one after the other. So it's almost like kind of it's a game of whack-a-mole, because it's, oh, it's not perfect, oh, I'm too young, I'm too old, I have an accent, I don't have an accent. I mean, there's always something like that children, that thing that you're put in the back seat, or I'm scared, or whatever. Those things I would put in there. Sometimes they manifest in different faces. So thank you for kind of just hitting it with a whack-a-mole.
Yeah, and I think that also, when we think about when we want to do something and we're afraid, what that is our brain is protecting us from failure. But failure is also part of the process. So our brain is wired to keep us safe. But we're no longer in the cave time where the lion is coming to get us. But it's still working that way because that's where we're hardwired to be. And if you just remember that, that is going to get you, yes, you might fall flat on your face doing that thing, but it's still part of the process because you're getting closer to everything that you want to get. And let that primitive brain, let just say where it belongs. But it's never going away, so we have to manage our brain through it. We're not like carrying through like, okay, I'm not afraid. Yes, we're afraid, but we're sitting in the fear and we're doing the thing anyway.
Okay, I'm gonna preempt my question with tissues.
Oh my goodness. I had makeup down, y'all.
I'm so sorry. But near the end of the book, you talk about your son Eli and how being the parent of a neurodivergent child turned you into a better advocate and a better caregiver. What is the greatest lesson that you believe that he's taught you, and how has your experience of being his mother contributed to the theme of your book, which is unmuting yourself?
So being a mom of a special needs child, Eli is on the autism spectrum. He is prone to seizures every now and again. So it's been a game of keeping him well. And in order to keep him well, I'm a selfish mom sometimes. I have to keep myself well. I have to keep myself prayed up. I have to keep myself, in top shape in everything I do. And so everything that I do, I have to intentionally think of what and what will allow me to be fully present for him without taking away from myself. I'm also a businesswoman. I love to do all these things. So I have to build systems around myself and around my business that works for me so that I can be fully there. I can work on days that I don't want to work. I don't have to. I need to be up there for him if they call me from school, because that happens very often. Sometimes he doesn't even make it to school. So I have to create a life for myself that allows me to live my best life, be my best self, enjoy work, enjoy friendships, and do all the things that I do while being present. At the snap of a finger, I need to be there, and I'm there. And Eli, he has taught all of us at home that there's more than one way to be, more than one way to think, more than one way to see life. Aaron calls him he just smiles all the time. He's just so joyful and happy all the time. And we're learning that there's so many different ways that we interact with life, that we show up in life, that doesn't have to do with the normal, the way we see it. And Eli is that person. He is the one that when he was younger, we taught him everything, and he's very independent. He can get his own food, do his own thing, and take care of himself. And that was important to me, because when you go out in the world, nobody cares who you are, where you're coming from, or your disabilities, or whatever. You need to be able to be self-sufficient. He's getting there, but a lot of things that we do is making life easier for him, if that makes any sense. And so I'm happy to be his mom. I feel like God called me to be his mom, because there's so many different situations that I've had to be his voice. He's also non-verbal. So I've had to be his voice and speak for him, and that's why I need to make sure that I am top shape, I'm living my soft life, I can rested up, and I'm ready to battle, and I'm ready to advocate at any point in time for him.
I love the piece about putting on your own breathing mask before you can help anybody else, making sure they're okay. Thank you.
Well, if that's a selfish mom, right, I'm going to battle for Eli. You have, right? And Eli is just such a wonderful, happy, joyful young man, and we're blessed to have him in our lives. On an additional note, I would say one thing more is that, the way you say things, I'm just watching your mouth as you just say, oh, I create systems. It is a lot of hard work. I know this is soft life, but it's a lot of hard work that you've put in place to allow you to be there for Eli, to run your business, to have the time, and it's a lot of discipline and hard work. So this is the messy middle part, right? Yeah, this is so for people who are like, oh, how does she manage to juggle all that? And she does it without, while breaking a sweat. Some of us will be like, yeah, but let me not get carried away. Let me not get carried away. Okay.
But on that note, somebody was telling me, oh, I just want to be just like him. Seriously? You know what? You want all of me. If you want to be like him, you need to get all of me, not some of me, not what you see online. So yeah.
We enjoy Adejoke, because I think, as Priska said, there's just a calm that even when a bunch of us sisters are talking and Joke hasn't joined the call yet, there's another decibel in the laughter, the noise, the conversation, and then Joke comes and says, hi everybody, and we just lowers and then we start to report each other. We're like, do you know how she was talking to me before you joined the call? And she's like, ladies, I'm here. One of the things that I loved about the way you wrote the book is about Sisimi. And with Sisimi, you talked about how she had an open door policy, right? And everybody was her kid. And watching you as an adult, that just continued. I know a lot of people that have come and lived in your house. I'm like, who are these people? But talking about what is not shared, and not just what is shared. Your reference to Sisimi and her grace, right, and just that policy. And can you share how her leadership has inspired you to unmute yourself and create space for others?
You know, my mother, you know her, you all know her. She's one of those women who is very, very quiet, but don't mess with her. And don't mess with her children. And literally, her door was always open. Our door, she never locked her doors. I wrote about this in the book where somebody actually found her when she had a stroke because she left her door open. And that is how we got 10 more years of her life. If you went to my mother's street, 7th Avenue, where she lived, where we grew up, you don't need to ask twice, just ask for Sisimi. That's what we all call her. Sisimi just means my big sister. And she's everybody's big sister. We call her children, we also call her Sisimi. That's how, we don't say mommy or mom, we just Sisimi, that's all. And so she taught me to unmute myself in a totally different way than she did. Because my mother did not use many words, but she lived her life in ways that we could see. Her table, there are always extra chairs. If there are no extra chairs, you might be laughing a neighbor's daughter or somebody. She would literally take food off our plate. Like, you donate 1 spoon, you donate 1 spoon. If somebody comes in and we're eating, everybody must eat. She has gone without food many, many times, so that the neighbors try. And somehow they always know when to show up. Because they know she's cooking and they're not going to go hungry. So that is the kind of unmuting that she had. She did not mute herself in holding things for herself. And she taught us that everything that we share, again without speaking those words, everything that we own is meant to be shared. It's not meant to keep for ourselves. And that's why I am the way I am, I guess. And so, those are all the things I learned from her without using words. She taught me so much, unmuted, and
Soft on the outside, mango hard on the inside.
yes, so that was the city. She was a very strong, and she's like all but 5 feet tall, but do not mess with her.
Small but mighty.
So small but mighty, yes. She fought for people, she housed people. We grew up, you would think I have like, I don't even know how many brothers and sisters that my mother did not give birth to, that my father did not give birth to, that passed through our house. So I am blessed in that way too, that I have so many brothers and sisters all over the world. Even when we're here, my brother is in the UK, I am here, and even when we're not home, she's being taken care of. Some neighbor is always checking on her every single day. Somebody is always dropping by, they're always bringing food, they're always bringing stuff, because of the lives that she has sown into for so many years. So yeah, that's my mother, that's Cecilia.
I had the privilege of going to her 80th birthday. There were so many people lined up as her children. I really couldn't tell which ones were your siblings. But so many people. She's amazing. May her soul rest.
Okay, I'm not sure how much time we have left, but I want to make sure I get this question in. After someone finishes your book, Unmute Yourself, what do you hope changes most about how they show up in the world? What do you hope that you inspire to learn most of all?
I hope that they start afraid. I hope that they remember when times are hard that life is 50-50. And sometimes the 50s overlap. Live, grieve, at the same time, we can do it all. And the people that, we're grieving, they want us to keep living. So we owe them that, we owe ourselves that. And for us to always keep showing up for our people. I don't know where I would be if I didn't have my friends. Community is what keeps us going. Support. People are our covering. So, cover somebody and allow yourself to be covered.
And with that, we do appreciate our interview panel very much. We'd like to open it up to the community to see what questions that you have for Joké. Yes.
First of all, Joké, I'm so proud of you. And the sisters, so I know a lot about the sisters thanks to joining you for some calls during an event we had to do together. So I do know when you come to the call. Question I have for you is, I think I knew the muted Joké when I moved to Seattle. Then all of a sudden, I started seeing more Joké online. It was Facebook, then it was LinkedIn, and then it was events. So I'm wondering, where between that 25 and now did that happen? Because it was, I could see the shift, but I didn't know it until now, and I can't wait to read the book, but I'm just curious to know, when did it really switch?
It wasn't a switch as such. It was showing up, and when you show up, people acknowledge you. And suddenly you feel like, oh, I actually have something to contribute, and it makes a difference. And then you just keep doing it, and you're doing it, and doing it. And that's how I became unmuted, I guess. Does that answer your question, Wally?
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Excellent. All right, we have time for another question.
I'll take as many questions as, but people don't let me know.
Joké, thank you very much for sharing your story. I know that many women can identify with what you shared. So I want to ask you a question because you're a coach. Did a coach play a role in your life that led you to become a coach?
Fantastic question, yes. Not one, but a handful of coaches. Because I talk about this to my home staging community where I do a lot of coaching, that there was a time when I started the business and it was all consuming, and I lost myself in it, and I became burned out, and I had to find help outside of myself. So first I worked with a mental health coach, and then she introduced me to the first coach that I worked with, and I got a business coach to help me align myself and find myself again. So yes, we all need someone outside of ourselves to help us get from where we're going to where we want to be. It can be a therapist, it can be whoever it is, but we're not designed to do life alone. We are made for fellowship. Again and again, we're coming back to covering, and that is the common theme of the evening. Does that answer your question, Billy? Yes.
All right, we have time for one more question.
She keeps saying one more, she lies.
That's
Thank you so much for this. I've really enjoyed the discussions. So I'm a husband to this wonderful lady.
And this wonderful lady is my hairdresser, Rena.
Yes, and so just sitting here, hearing you talk about being unmuted, I think there's a role that men could play in this process. And so I guess I worry that to some extent, whether I realize it or not, I may be muting my wife. And so how has your husband factored into that process? And secondly, as a husband, how do I step out of my wife's way?
What's your name? Eric, you're always halfway there. We are in love with you right now. Our men in our lives can be your brother, your husband. My husband supports me. We are partners in life. He's not here today because he's the partner that we needed to be home with Eli today. So you can support your women, your wives, your girlfriends in those ways that allow them to breathe, that allow them to be who they are fully meant to be. And you saying those words, it means that you are an intentional man. And you're ready. And Rena, you're such a lucky girl. She's just stepping in before they ask. Do the dishes, mop the floors, rub her feet, ask her what she wants, and that the beauty is not just about just speaking words. It's about ministering to one another in ways that allow us to fully be who we're meant to be, because we have backing, we have the support of our men, and they are not trying to clip your wings. That's it. So, well done, brother. You're already.
I love you. I don't say that to a lot of people, but ever since I met you years ago, and I haven't seen you in a very long time, but I can't forget, like, she asked me to go ice skating. I think you were, I don't know, 6, maybe 10 then. One of your daughters was ice skating, and we sat down together and she talked, and I was like, this is someone who, there's something about her that I want to get to know. And when you told me about your book, I ordered it on Amazon right away. Like, I'll support her, I have to read the book. And I put it away, I think I read a page. But once I started reading it, I couldn't stop, right? Because there's so much wisdom. There's so much clarity in this book. There's so much, like, layers. And the fact that you really opened up, like, you shared everything for us. And there's so much, I've highlighted too many parts. Like, clarity will come from doing. Like, confidence comes from repetition. Because we're also afraid. And it's funny how sometimes we look at our 25-year-old self, we're actually sometimes bolder than. Now we're so afraid of the world and where we live and our children. Like, we sometimes become a shell of ourselves, and we put so much on ourselves because we're here. And I feel this book gave me freedom to be courageous. It talks about the role your parents played in your life, your mom, how she seems like she was ahead of her time. She had this quiet wisdom. Your dad, accountant by day, like making soap at night, teaching you how to type is why we're here within this book, right? And so that encouraged me, like, what can I be for my own children? Like, what are they learning from me? So that 25 years from now, they can say, my mom taught me this. So I think you just helped us, like just realize how much power we have. And even if things aren't perfect, we have so much power in the positions we are. And I'm sorry, one more thing, I just love your voice. There was something about the jars, like you had the 3 jars, and I think it was such a simple way about money management. You talk about outgrowing people come for a while. I know your girls have been here forever, like I see your faces, but there are probably some friends you had to let go along the way so you could be here with these ones that matter, right? So I think these are all just lessons that are really relevant. And then just one last thing, thank you so much, and I will ask a question, I promise. The other last thing I took here is, I think it's just the little things, like you're very peaceful. I don't know if you know that, but I think you are. And then your notion of soft life, and when I watch the Nigerian music videos, soft life feels different. Like, I don't know, soft life, the old music videos, but I feel like soft life, the work that goes behind soft life, and Dr. Dada, you said that early, you put in the work. Like, this book shows that you're not just showing up on the surface. Like, you put in systems, you put in support, you put in the friendship, you put in the prayer, you put in the tears, you put in all the things to get here to this like beautiful tapestry of your life, and thank you for sharing with us. Okay, now the question. It's like, how do you, so you've risen to this 25-year-old self, and now you're 53, right? God willing, you're going to be many in Jesus' name. Amen. So what do you want to tell your 100-year-old self? That's my question.
Okay, so thank you so much for taking the time to read and to read the book so well that you know it in and out. My 100-year-old self, first of all, I don't have a desire to live to 100. I want to live up to the year where I still have all my teeth, like I still dance. And so You gave it all.
JK, with your 100, we will be throwing you a party for that as well.
Abby will be there, Moshe will be there, Eva will be there.
Well, with that, we're going to wrap up this portion of the event. I'm going to invite you to come out to the library. We're going to have a champagne toast, and JK will be signing books. So please join us.
Champagne or your mocktail with pre-raised artichokes.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, exactly. That's why I said that it won't make any sense. So that was it. How did you get here? He was looking for parking. Oh, wow. He was looking for parking and then. Did you go to the parking, the real parking? Yeah, there's a parking over there. No, on the garage. Parking on the garage. You know, because I'm in a hotel. So, it's really I'm very glad of the house. Because I know you actually was hanging out with Diffie and you. Thank you. How are you? Stay shopping.
Yeah, sorry, everything kind of went in a different. Okay, I just wanted to show you that. So the funny story, the last time I had to mic somebody up, it was I hate to drop names, but it was Barack Obama when he was like a congressman in Illinois. I was trying to
Would you grab these horses here?
Yeah. It was very brief, but I was like, it was still a
I'm
congressman.
gonna let something Okay.
Just remind me about
That's awesome.
you can end the stream there.
And you just want to know how the laptop. And then right now it's just kind of equally